This leads post-election coalition discussions are expected to pick up speed this week. Political parties have until Tuesday to form councils. That's according to the Municipal Electoral Act regulations. The IEC has already gazetted the names of all councillors who were successfully elected to some 9,473 seats, which they're going to take up now across the country. Let's bring in our guest then to talk about where we are currently for perspective on the issue and the likely outcome of the coalition discussions. We're speaking to Dr. Bernard Sebake, Director of Student Governance and Development at the Nelson Mandela University. Doctor, very good afternoon to you. Grateful for your time on Newsfeed PM. So we're basically just a few days away, aren't we, from the deadline, the 14-day deadline for an announcement, a pronouncement on the councils to be constituted. Is it time to start worrying?
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to the viewers at home, and thanks for having me. Look, I think it depends on the angle in which you view the episodes that are happening as it relates to our era of forming coalition government after the advent of a local government election call. And I think from where I'm sitting is that, of course, a little bit of being worried must be part of our reflection, because we have seen the situation where the hang metros are still remaining hanging, and because political parties are doing exactly what we call push and pull. And this push and pull, one wonders whether it's about the principle of really how best to advance the question of service delivery in local government. And second to that, I think it has really painted a picture that it's about really power sharing, which is at the center of political economy as it relates to the governance of our municipalities in South Africa. So I would be a bit worried, because I think the time and the clock is ticking.
I wonder then, Doctor, if lack of trust and ideological differences are what is going to be the most difficult, or what are going to be the most difficult points to get over, because, for example, you've got Action SA, which has had now coalition discussions fall apart with the EFF because Action SA says it won't work with the ANC. You've got the DA that had already said that it won't work with the EFF and ANC. You've got differences along policy lines, but also the fact that some of these parties, when they campaigned, said to their voters, for example, that they wouldn't work with the ANC, and have pushed themselves, in essence, into a corner, haven't they?
I think the issue here, which is very sticky, it's about the history of each political party as it relates to its narrative and trajectory of governing. One would observe that obviously the African National Congress has been rejected by almost all the parties except the EFF. That is why at this stand, the issue of ideological context and service in governance also play a pivotal role as to the value judgment or the political judgment that political parties have against each other. Again, it is also a problem that I think the issue of posturing coalition as a national project will actually hit the snag and really cause instability before even those metros take off the ground to service the people.
Realistically, though, do you think the voters would punish their respective political choices from this election if they turned around and went into coalitions with parties that had previously vowed not to work with?
I'll beg your pardon, Tembekile.
Do you think the voters, let's say, for example, an Action SA voter base, would punish Action SA if it turned around and agreed to work with the ANC when all along it said it wouldn't?
I think, Tembekile, the issue of which party vote with which for coalition in most cases, is a matter that is determined by the party leadership. And it raises eyebrows whether the party leadership will also be in consideration to what the mandate of their electorate are all about. And it is at this point that one would argue that there's no consultation with either even members or the electorate themselves as to who should any party should go into coalition with. It's about leaders at this particular point in time who determine which direction to go. But obviously, I would agree that it may have consequences in the near future, particularly if parties enter into coalition that are not going to work for advancing service delivery.
So when you look at the situation currently in the major metros, at least, it's between the ANC and the DA to come up with a coalition the fastest, because the two parties arguably have the most riding on the establishment of these councils. Why don't they just come together and work out a deal where they could then have a wholesale deal and split the councils as per whatever discussion they have? Is that the easiest route, do you think?
The problem, Tembegile, is about whether political parties trust each other to an extent that they understand that coalition is about the people's government and it's not about the political party narrow interests. That's the first issue. The second issue stems from the fact that you would agree with me that you know the understanding of coalition as the talks are unfolding, it sounds like bigger parties want to swallow smaller parties and call that the coalition. However, you know, the smaller parties have started to define their role in the landscape of democracy in South Africa.
Dr. Bernard Sibaki, good to speak to you, so thank you for your time.